Hey everybody, it is that time of year again. The NFL playoffs are in full swing, and it's time for me to pick who I think is going to win the Super Bowl out of the remaining teams. With that being said, let's jump into this here. Broncos are taking on the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills had a tough time beating the Jacksonville Jaguars when they played last week, and if the Broncos offense shows up to play this week, I think they'll end up taking this game fairly easily, considering their defense is so dang good. How did they win the Super Bowl back in 2015? Through very strong defense. The Bills are also really beat up right now. Josh Allen alone had 3 different injuries in the last week's game. They also lost Gabe Davis with a torn ACL, and Shavers, who also played the second half of the game on a torn ACL. I don't know how you do that, but what a beast, am I right? I think the Broncos win this game against the Bills. If the Broncos do lose, though, I'll be pulling for the Bills the rest of the way. Our other AFC matchup is the Houston Texans versus the New England Patriots, and yes, the Patriots won. The crowd was chanting MVP for Drake May. I'm sorry, guys, I just don't see it happening with that stout Texans defense. You're not going to be playing the Chargers this week, guys. You're going to be playing the Houston Texans, whose defense ranked as the best in the NFL this season, right in front of those Denver Broncos, and I think that's going to make the difference in this game. It may end up being a close game, but the Texans are going to pull this one off, and I think your AFC championship is going to be the Denver Broncos versus the Houston Texans. Over on the NFC side of things, we got the 49ers taking on the Seahawks, and the 49ers have not looked themselves in the last couple of weeks, and that's a bad thing because we're in the playoffs now and you can't afford to look bad. And if their offense is going to struggle in any way, they're going to be knocked out by the Seahawks this week. Give me the Seahawks, who have a stout defense and also I think a better offense at the moment, and I think the Seahawks punched their ticket to the NFC Championship game. In the other NFC game, we have the Bears versus the LA Rams, and if the Bears play like they did in the fourth quarter, they're going to be moving on to the NFC Championship game. If they played like they did in the first 3, the Rams will be moving on to the NFC Championship game. The more complete team here is the Los Angeles Rams, but I'm going to pick the Chicago Bears to end up winning this game. I'm going to trust that they come a little bit more prepared to this one than they did the last game, and don't end up having to pull off an 18-point comeback to win. Caleb Williams is probably riding high off the first postseason win of his career, and I think that's going to be enough for them to ride their way to take on the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. My NFC Championship is the Seahawks versus the Bears. Now, in that NFC Championship between the Seahawks and the Bears, I think that the Seahawks are going to end up pulling this one off. I think they have a slightly better defense than the Bears do, and I think the Sam Darnold, Smith and Jigba connection is going to come up big. Eat your heart out, Vikings fans. I'm so sorry, but Sam Darnold may be making his way to the Super Bowl on the NFC side of things. I think the Seahawks will beat the Bears in the NFC Championship game. Over on the other side, if I'm correct, the Broncos will be taking on the Texans, and at that point, it's really anyone's game. Will the Texans make it to their first Super Bowl in their franchise's history, or will the Denver Broncos make it back for the first time in a decade? Well, guys, I hate to break it to you, but I think the Broncos are going to do it this year. Except for last season, it's been like 8 years since they had a good team, but I do think the Broncos are going to make their way to the Super Bowl this year. It's going to be a really close dogfight of a game against the Texans. They're going to have to overcome that defense. It's going to be a battle of the 2 best defenses in the NFL in the AFC Championship, which will be a thriller to watch. I do think the Broncos pull it off. Broncos punch their ticket to the Super Bowl. A Super Bowl rematch from 10 years ago, even though like none of the players on the teams were on the teams at the time back then. But for the franchises, it's a Super Bowl rematch. We all know what happened last time. The Seahawks absolutely walloped the Broncos in that game. But I think that'll be our Super Bowl, Broncos, Seahawks, and I think that the Broncos are going to pull this one off, guys. Defense wins championships, and I think it's going to be the strength of that defense that helps them end up pulling this off and winning a championship. But to be fair, for them to even beat the Bills, they're going to need Sean Payton's play calling to be absolutely spot on, and Bo Nix is going to have to absolutely show out and not completely crap the bed. I think if they do that, the Broncos win the Super Bowl against the Seahawks. But let's just flip all of this really quickly. If the Bills are able to beat the Broncos on Saturday, the Bills are my pick to win the Super Bowl. Whoever wins that game is my pick to win the Super Bowl this year. I may be completely wrong with my picks. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I generally don't like to be biased with my picks, but it's kind of hilarious. I think that out of all the years that I've seen a playoff, the final 8 teams I'm seeing here, I don't see why the Broncos can't take this thing. So it makes me sound completely biased with my AFC Broncos team just sitting behind me in the background, but that's legitimately what I think could very likely happen right now. What are your picks for who you think's going to win the Super Bowl? Let me know down in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe. It's totally free. We've been doing this for 4 months. I'm here for all things Arizona Cardinals and NFL, and we'll see you very soon in our next video. Bye-bye.